And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome indeed to Jimmo Fix It.
It's being described as the worst crisis to hit the BBC in 50 years. Tonight's Panorama into the Jimmy Savile scandal hears from the two Newsnight journalists whose dropped investigation is at the centre of allegations of a BBC cover-up.
The story we were investigating was very clear-cut. It was about Jimmy Savile being a paedophile and abusing his position, using his status as a charity fundraiser and television personality to get access to places where there were vulnerable teenage girls who he would abuse.
The journalists had been working on the story for a month. They'd had an enthusiastic email from Newsnight editor Peter Rippon, who was working towards a transmission date. But shortly afterwards, he halted the investigation.
All I can say is that it was an abrupt change of tone from, one day, excellent, let's prepare to get this thing on air, to hold on.
We weren't asked to find more evidence or anything like that. We weren't asked to get more people on camera. We were told to stop working on the story. I was very surprised at this. I argued, as did Liz McKean, with our editor. We had meetings together, we had individual meetings with him, and the argument went on for some time.
During their arguments, Liz McKean says she was left with a clear impression that Peter Rippon was feeling under pressure, possibly from senior bosses, about the impact of the investigation with a planned Christmas tribute programme to Jimmy Savile. Peter Rippon has always maintained the story was pulled for editorial reasons.
I was very unhappy the story didn't run because I felt we'd spoken to people who collectively deserved to be heard. They weren't heard. And I thought that that was a failure. Ever since the decision was taken to shelve our story, I've not been happy with public statements made by the BBC. I think they're very misleading about the nature of the investigation we were doing.
I was sure the story would come out one way or another, and that if it did, the BBC would be accused of cover-up. In fact, I wrote an email to Peter saying the story is strong enough, and the danger of not running it is substantial damage to BBC reputation.
The Panorama probe has also called into question the Director General George Entwistle's handling of the crisis in the days after it broke. Mr Entwistle, who will appear before MPs on Tuesday to answer questions about the BBC and Savile, has announced 2 inquiries regarding the sex abuse claims. But some within the organisation feel the crisis has been damaging, possibly beyond repair, to the broadcaster's reputation.
This is the worst crisis that I can remember in my nearly 50 years at the BBC. I don't think the BBC has handled it terribly well. All we have as an organisation is the trust of people, the people that watch us and listen to us. And if we don't have that, if we start to lose that, that's very dangerous.
Police have also started a formal criminal investigation into sexual abuse involving the late BBC presenter and other people. And Scotland Yard said it had identified 200 potential victims.